we are ready to join our blocks together in a vertical seam. We start by having our blocks right sides up, and we'll pin them together, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes as to why we have that. You want to have a yarn threaded onto a blunt tip tapestry needle, and your yarn for your seam should be about 3 times the length of the seam. And I'll be using contrasting yarn for demonstration. So to begin, we will be moving from bottom to top, and the first thing we're going to do is pick up this first bump right here at the bottom of the right side block, and you draw your yarn through, leaving about a 6 or an 8-inch tail that you'll weave in later. And then you want to come to the block that's on the left side and pick up that same little corresponding bump and draw your yarn through. Now just for this next stitch, we will do this just one time only, and it's just to lock our yarn in place. We will go ahead and come back into where we first went in. So that first little bump that we went into, we're going to pick that bump up again. And when I draw that through, you'll see that it kind of locks, makes a little bit of a sturdy little, almost a knot to keep our seam nice and strong there. Now what we're going to do up the rest of the seam is we are going to be picking up the purl bumps in a zigzag fashion from side to side, working all the way to the top. So I'll show you on the right side of the block, the purl bumps look like this. On the left side of the block, I'll lift them up here, and you can see here they are on the left side. So our yarn is here on the right side, so I will go to the left side, under that purl bump, draw your yarn through. So I was on the left side, so now I will come to the first bump on the right side, pick that one up, and go to the left side, and then the right side, left side, and back and forth, back and forth. Now the reason for the clips, that it's important to have them there, is because while our blocks are the same size, they may not have the same number of rows, so therefore not the same number of purl bumps on each side. So you may need to ease in the fullness, to use a sewing term. So let's just say that I'm seeing that this side of my block has perhaps more purl bumps than this side, when I'm meeting them here at this pin. So in order to compensate for that, I would simply pick up 2 bumps on this side and then return to the left side. And when I do that, it will just ease in your fullness and even up the sides. You may need to do that a couple of times, spacing it out up the seam as you go. But even the most discerning eye would not catch that. So you continue zigzagging until you get to the top of your block. And I will show you here at the top, I did seam this in the matching yarn, so you can see that the seam is nearly invisible. It's quite flat, and the wrong side looks equally as nice. And there's a vertical seam. Happy knitting!